First revealed back in 2012, Watch Dogs wowed people for being the first true next-gen game reveal. Now, 2 years later, after multiple delays, Watch Dogs is finally out. Is it the open-world next-gen game experience we were waiting for? Or were expectations too damn high? The game's main protagonist, Aiden Pierce, is a rogue hacker living in a creepy and yet slightly believable present-day Chicago. Everything is practically controlled by computers, more specifically the CTiOS, which gives Aiden control over the entire city and puts it in the palm of his hand using his trusty phone. Naturally, this makes him a target, which eventually ends up getting his niece killed by accident. Living with grief for 11 months, Aiden is set on finding the one who tried to kill him and avenge the death of his niece. All of this sort of happens within the game's first 10 minutes, and it's kind of a bit too much to take in. The intro feels a bit rushed, and that sort of makes it hard to connect with some of the characters, mainly Aiden. In fact, I sort of felt that Aiden had this coming, and that by pursuing this killer, he is putting his entire family at risk. There's also a rush of random characters that are important to the story, but aren't introduced properly at all. Who's Bad Boy 17? Who's this random guy? Again, this ends up feeling rushed and fails at making me have a connection with any of these characters. What does end up feeling slightly more believable is the city of Chicago. The hacking mechanic opens a range of possibilities, such as listening into people's conversations and manipulating random traffic lights and barricades. This essentially makes Watch Dogs a sort of trolling simulator. For instance, I was able to manipulate the bridge to make random pedestrians fall, or making random circuits explode using security cameras. This sort of experience made me feel incredibly powerful. Even though it affected my hero status similar to Infamous, it did feel incredibly satisfying and easy to do with literally a push of a button. Hacking is hands down the best feature in Watch Dogs. The game does stumble in a few gameplay areas, however. The driving mechanic feels heavy and isn't particularly good, and the side quest missions are repetitive and boring. The graphics, while stunning, especially on PC, does not match the quality we've seen at the first E3 reveal. It's a bit sad though, expected considering how scripted the gameplay trailer was. That being said, the visuals and presentation are very detailed and still impressive, especially the NPC animation. The game was also slightly difficult. There were lots of points where I had to rely on stealth, and if you're not good at that sort of thing, then you're gonna have trouble facing and fending off enemies, because Aiden cannot take a lot of hits. Multiplayer is also a mixed bag. The online feature that is great is the random spying you can do. At times you may be visited by a random player who needs to spy on you, and if you manage to spot the player through their actions, you would be rewarded, and vice versa. Surprisingly, the smartphone minigames such as the acid trip ends up offering a more replayable experience than the actual multiplayer component. Watch Dogs is great, but it could have been so much more. The story isn't very memorable, and honestly, if it wasn't for the hacking mechanic, the game would easily blend in as another GTA clone. I feel that Ubisoft have learned a lot while developing Watch Dogs, and the inevitable sequel will no doubt surpass it. For now, if you're looking for a great open-world urban game this summer, then Watch Dogs is the game for you.